Good morning, children. I hope we have discussed in the previous Google Meet, about the functions of political parties, children, and we have discussed many points related to that. I hope you all have got those points, children. Here in this video, I'm going to continue with those points, children. Though we have completed, I'm now starting with merits and demerits of political parties, which is in continuation with those points, children. So pay attention to this video, right, and listen to it attentively, children. So let's come on to merits of political parties. So we have merit of political party, children. The very first merit is means of harmonizing relation. Now political parties, what does they do, children? Usually they harmonize the organs of the government. They give coherence to the very complicated mechanism of government established under a federal and a state constitution. To some extent, they mitigate the disadvantages of federal system, harmonizing the policy of a state and nation. That means somehow the disharmony created among the center and state government. So here these political parties try to lessen the disadvantages of the federal system. And federal system, everyone knows, children, division of power among center and state government, right? So these political parties try to create this harmony among the parties and among the federal system, right? And here, if you see, there are three organs of governments: legislative, executive, and judiciary. So try to maintain the harmony among these three organs as well, children. Next merit is source of national unity. The party are instrumental in developing and maintaining a sense of national unity. The people in some political system do not form a homogeneous unit. They are diversities of religion, of nationalist origin, and economic interest. Right, children? Next, transformation of the mass of electorate into a national force. The party keep our nation minds active. As the rise and fall of the sweeping tide freshen the water of long ocean, discussion within each party culminating before election in the adoption of a platform bring certain issues to the front. Define them, express the in formulas which fix men's mind on certain points, concentrating attention and inviting criticism. So few people think seriously and steadily upon any subject outside the range of their own business interest, that public opinion might be vague and ineffective if the party's searchlights were not constantly turned on it. Next, children, essential instruments of democratic. Far from being in conflict with the theory of democratic government, it is the only thing which renders the later feasible, for it is impossible for all the people to rule all the time taken singly. Now, the only way in which any particular set of people can remain together as a majority and thus render possible a stable and consistent administration of public affairs is that the members of the ruling group shall agree with one another. Next, very useful essential role in formation of public opinion. Parties prevent popular prejudices from getting incorporated in the legal code, for all proposals and measures are fully discussed and criticized before they are finally passed as laws for the community. Thus, it saves the state from some of the possible risk of direct legislation by the people. Next, children, party keep the government under check. The party system also acts a great check against domination. The party hold the wheels of state in balance. Then next, children, vital links between the people and the government. Political parties are the link. The vital channel of communication between the people and the government. They act as a two-way agency, taking the demands of the people to the government and policies of the government to the people. In country like USA, where theory of separation of power is followed, political parties have supplied the missing link among the various branches of government. Right, children? So here Merriam's, what he tried to say. Because of the scattering government power, it has been necessary for the parties to gather the threads of control and bring them into a responsible unity of control. Right, children? Now let's come on to demerits of political party, children. Now demerits. Local biases. Now basically the main disadvantage of these party politics is what, children? Parties are a source of bias in politics, and every voter is more or less attracted or repelled to such an extent that it is unable to form an entirely unbiased judgment either on questions of policy or on the merits of candidate, children. Next, source of division in society. Party produce unnatural divisions and thus falsify public opinion. People are not naturally separated by hard and fast lines into two or more compact groups, but present every kind of combination of opinion. Further, to maintain an outward unity, internal differences among members are not integrated. They are only not allowed to result in rupture and active dissensions. Hence, the apparent harmony or concord in a party is based on internal disharmony or discord among the members. So you can very well see how these divisions are maintained just because of party politics in society, children. This is the main minus point, children. Right. Harmony, this harmony can occur very easily among the members, children, right? Next, now parties cannot reflect and clarify public opinion. Two parties specifically involve only yes or no, and many party mean that a voter can say yes or no to only one proposition. This means that differences are not integrated. Every vote is given not for the whole but for the particular cause. Public opinion thus remain distorted. Next, parties are always dominated by extremists and demagogues. That means, children, it is the extreme element that always leads the party. The moderate elements are mere hangers on, they only follow. They do not break away from the party because they can do anything else. Hence, through disagreeing, they are according to the behest of extreme element. This means public opinion remain falsified. Right, children? Parties are not fully and really representative in nature. Sometimes extreme element force the hands of leader to do and say things which the later do not desire. In that case too, the real opinion remain unrepresented. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge natural to party dissension, which in different ages and countries has perpetuated the most horrid enormities, is itself is a frightful despotism. It seems always to distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies, false arms, and kindles the animosities of one party against another, children. So you can very easily understood key how they cannot fully representative, right, children? So this is a point. Next, the foreign connections. Now, children, how parties are maintaining foreign connections? Party door opens to foreign influence and corruption, which find a facilitated access to government itself through the channels of party passions. Next, unnatural divisions in society. The party divide the nation and the community not on the basis issues but on artificially created basis. The government, the agreement among the adherents of the parties is as artificial as their disagreement with the opposing party is both artificial and unreal. Hence, it encourages hollowness and insecurity, and members desert one party and join another, not because of their conviction but because of changing interests and growing desires. Next, children, source of disharmony. Parties stir up disaffection and dissatisfaction everywhere. Even, like party discipline is a mean to a great end. But in some emergencies and under some leader, it may be made to frustrate the end at which it aims. Right? Next, children, increase the role of money in politics. In big industrial countries, party members are sometimes brought off by industrial magnates and corporations, resulting in what has been called the invisible government of the rich through the parties. Now, children, we have more demerits as well, not fully responsible. It has been asserted that party system has created double government, the holder of the government power and the other leaders of the party in power. The real governing power is without legal responsibility and is practically free from statutory and legal restrictions. Next, children, agencies of corruption. People come to have confidence and organization social treason. How, children? People come to have confidence in him and he sells them to the magnates and corporations. This means the party system altogether and suggests a substitution of spatial, more elastic organization for permanent stereotyped parties. Organized which are to be limited to particular objects and which are to form and reform spontaneously according to the changing problems of life, political parties practice defections and are engaged in the purchase of loyalty of elected representatives. At least this has been quite true of Indian political parties. Next, children, it is a source of undesirable opposition. Party create factionalism as these tend to make the political life of a country machine-like or artificial. The party in opposition, as it is sometimes called the outs, is always antagonistic to the party in power or the ends. President Washington was deadly opposed to political party and he warned the Americans in these words. Let me warn you in the most solemn manner against the baneful efforts of the spirit of party. Generally, this spirit unfortunately is inseparable from our nature, having its root in the strongest passion of the human mind. It exists under different shapes in all government, more or less stifled, controlled, repressed, but in those of the popular form, it is seen in its greater rankness and is truly their worst enemy. All obstruction to the execution of laws serves to organize a faction, to give it an artificial extraordinary force, to put in place of the delegated will of the nation the will of party. Often a small but artful enterprising minority of the community, and according to the alternate triumphs of different parties, to make the public administration the mirror of the ill-concerned and incongruous project of faction, rather than the organs of consistent, wholesome plan digested by common countries and modified by mutual interest. So you can very well see how President Washington had defined the undesirable opposition and criticism. He simply, criticized the parties, right? And for what? Everyone knows, right, children? Next now, political party act as a source of delay. Under the party system, politics, all decisions are taken on party line and not in national interest. The majority party is always keen to place the party above the nation. The other party or parties in opposition are continuously at work to check and hinder all decision, action and programs of the majority party, irrespective of the fact whether these are suitable or unsuitable for the development of the society. Aggressive and harmful politics is a basic evil of party politics. In parliamentary system of government like the one which is at work in our country, the demerit of the political system is more evident. Aggressive party politics adversely affect the process of government of the state. So I hope so you people have already understood ki basically under party politics, children, corruption, politics played a very important role, and among party members itself they try to persuade the other members. They try to purchase these members on a heavy cost, right children, on a heavy price actually. So all these things make an ugly scene of the party politics, right children, and these are the demerits. On what basis these party politics at times can be aggressive, right children, at times can be not very good for the nation, right children. So let's come on to other party and party system, children. What is it now? So we have the classification of or kinds of party system, children, and everyone knows what are the classification. So a traditional basis for the classification of party system has been the quantitative one. Accordingly, this classification scheme suggests three types of party system: one party, bi-party or two party system, and multi-party system. Right children, so within this tripartite classification there are several subcategories: single party dominant, multi-party system, pure two-party system, and two major and some other party system, right? So I am going to explain you one on one basis, children. So basically, what is a one party system, children? It is also called a single party system. In such a system, the political party is wielded by one political party which is continuously in power during the election. In each constituency, that single party fields several of its own candidates, out of which one candidate is elected by the people as a representative. Other political party or group can exist only with the consent of this party. Opposition is considered useless and harmful as a policy and program of the single official party are considered to be the best national policies and program. The power-wielding party can at will tolerate some criticism or opposition, otherwise dissent and criticism are considered subversive activity. However, with the consent of important ruling party, some small parties can be organized by the people. Now children, let's come on to merits and demerits. Merits now children, let's see now what is the merit of one party system. Little scope for aggressive party politics. Single party system is free from aggressive party politics. The single party is all powerful. It faces little political challenge because there is no other political party to oppose it. A strong government. Single party system result in the organization of a strong government. The government can take all decisions without any major limitation. Political stability and continuity. A single party means a continuous use of power by the party. It leads to political stability and continuity. Then children, strong policy and more progress. Presence of a single party and stable government act as a source of good development. It can adopt strong development policies and implement these in a strong way. Now come on to demerits, children. Undemocratic. The single party system is always undemocratic. It limits the freedom of people to organize their different political party. It compels them to depend upon the single ruling party. Authoritarian in nature. A single party system means dictatorship of the ruling party. The party act is an authoritarian way. Unreal election. A state with a single party system, the elections are never real. Only those persons can contest election which are members or supporters of the ruling party. Next, less political participation. Single party system provide only limited opportunity to the people to participate in the political process. The membership of the single ruling party is always kept limited. Little scope for representation. In a state with a single party system, all the interest groups fail to get representation. They find it very difficult to secure a role in the functioning of the single ruling party. Ruling party is always dominated by a small group of leaders. The interest group of the people find it very difficult to pursue their interest and needs. Now we have more merits, children. More suitable for meeting emergencies. So what is it, children? A single party system means very strong and stable government. Such a government is always in a position to meet all emergencies by taking quick decision. Next, responsibility can be easily fixed. In case of any failure on the part of government, it is always easy to fix responsibility. Helpful in nation building. A single party system means strong and stable government, strong and continuous policies, and rapid meeting of all problems in emergency. Easy choice. In election, a single party fields in several candidates from each constituency. This enables the people to vote on the basis of ability of the candidate. Next children, come on to demerit. Less political education. The single party always keep popular participation in politics limited and control, since it faces little challenge to its authority. Next, children, people get no real opportunity for a change of government. In a single party system, the elections are unreal. People have virtually no choice to make an election. The single party has to be again and again re-elected to power. Not a natural system. The single party system is not a natural system. Each society has a social, economic and cultural pluralism. Naturally, it needs political pluralism. That means existence of a several political party, each representing a particular social interest. The single party system uses coercion for preventing the people from organizing their different political party. Next, children, fear for revolution. When single party continues to rule the state and the people have no means to change their government, the situation becomes ripe and for a change of government by a revolution. Right? Next we have more demerits as well, children. Dangerous and harmful. Being undemocratic in nature, dictatorial in working and unlimited by demands of public opinion, a single party system works as a dangerous and harmful system. Last, children, rapid economic development. A single party often leads to rapid economic development. However, at the same time, it continues to suffer from a lack of political freedom and development. This creates a harmful imbalance in society. A demand for democratization of government is always made by the people. However, ruling party always try to kill such a demand. So this way we reach to the end of the document, children. So these are the merits and demerits of the one party system, children. Classification I've already explained you, children, and before that I try to explain you the merits and demerits. You have any problem, children, you can clarify your doubts. Till then, do pay attention to the videos, children. Next turn we're going to discuss the doubts in a next meet, children. Thank you.